Just so you understand who you're dealing with, I'm probably one of the few people you know who actually went to Staples, printed out their FICO score, and then went to a 99-cent store and bought a frame so that I could frame not only my 850 FICO score, but on top of that, my student loan payoff letter. And then on top of that, one of the last bills that I got from, what was it called? Student loans or whatever. So when I paid off my student loans and achieved a higher FICO score and got the Navient payoff, because they used to be Sally Mae or whatever, just so you understand, this is who you're dealing with when I say these things. So here's a nice, simple story that was made August 14th at, what is this? Make It CNBC by Cheyenne Devon. And her title is "Once you hit this credit score, there's no benefit to scoring higher, says expert. It's just bragging rights." Okay, so they're saying while having a perfect 850 credit score, that would be me, is impressive, you don't necessarily need it to unlock the best benefits. Typically, once you hit the mid 700s, you're considered to have excellent credit, and there's no practical benefit to scoring any higher, says Ted Rossman, Bankrate senior industry analyst. It's just bragging rights above that threshold. You see, and okay, I can agree with that. I'm bragging about it, so yeah. The exact number within that mid 700 range varies by lender, but usually a credit score between 740 and 750 will qualify you for the best terms with credit cards and auto loans. Me personally, I would say that you should be aiming no less than 750. But what they go on to say right here is a 760 will typically get you the best rates on mortgages. So if that's the case, I would just bump the number up and I'd say, listen, you should be aiming for no less than an 800, period. And keep in mind, there are 3 credit card bureaus. One is TransUnion, the other one's Equifax, and the other one's Experian. I would say that you should have no less than an 800 across all 3. Now, if you have no less than 800 across all 3, then you absolutely are exceptional. It doesn't matter if you have 800 to 850, but I would say if you have 800 across all 3, which is most likely not going to happen. Chances are you'll have 800 and 810 or 820, or there'll be some mixture where one will be a little bit higher than the other. It's because they score they score slightly differently across bureaus. But as long as you're at 800, you can't be denied anything. You know how these people, oh yeah, well they wouldn't give me a loan, so they must be sexist. Or they wouldn't give me a loan, so they must be racist. Or they wouldn't give me a loan, so they must be transphobic. Well, the simple fact is, if you have an 800 credit score, it doesn't matter what you are. Chances are you'll get the loan you're asking for. However, it also depends on how much you're asking for. Like, I can't walk into a bank and say, yeah, I need several $1 billion. They're probably going to turn me down. And I'd only have myself to blame for that because there's probably nothing I should be asking for several $1 billion for. But anyway, what is this? It says the exact number, they say a 760 will get you the best rates on mortgages. Your FICO score, which most potential lenders use to assess your ability to manage credit, can range from 300 to 850. Here are the ranges that generally qualify as poor, fair, good, very good, and exceptional. So they're saying you're poor if you're 300 to 579. You're fair if you're 580 to 669. You're good if you're 670 to 739. You're very good if you're between 740 and 799. You're exceptional once you cross the 800 barrier and you make your way up to 850. If your credit score is between 740 and 760, you're probably already getting the most favorable terms when it comes to opening a new card or getting a mortgage. But if it's below that threshold, every point counts. Every 20 points or so can make a big difference in the battleground between fair and good and excellent credit, he says. Saying you have a 675 credit score and qualify for a $300,000 mortgage with an interest rate of 7.5. Now, first of all, let me just stop you right here. This right here is the failure of Bidenomics and America right now, This is the consequence of the Federal Reserve raising interest rates and having so much national debt. We're at basically $32 trillion national debt. We're at basically $2 trillion of student loan debt. And right now, most Americans are carrying credit card debt, which has pushed credit card debt itself to about $1 trillion. So they've been reporting this on the news lately. Now, I was carrying around a little bit of credit card debt, but because I don't pay revolving debt, what I do is I pay off my credit card bill every single other night. That's like one of the tricks I've always talked about in order to push your FICO score up as high as it'll go. Some people, oh, you don't have to pay it off every night. No, you can wait till the end of the month. I'm like, fuck that. No, you pay it off every other night. Like as soon as you use your credit card, if you pay off the balance, you never run a revolving debt. You never pay interest on your credit card. You never pay a finance charge. That's where they get you. They want you to wait till the end of the month because they know sooner or later you're going to fuck up and you're not going to pay it on time. I beat them to the punch by making it so that I pay it every single other day. It's because sometimes when you buy something, it takes 2 days for it to post. Like let's say you buy something on a Saturday, you're not going to see it till Monday. So the bottom line is if you pay it every other day, you can't go wrong. Now, you could choose to believe me, or you could choose to believe these gurus who are getting you to waste your fucking money on YouTube. I don't care, because either way, I got the 800 plus. And if you want the 800 plus, you're either going to do what I say or you're going to end up not having it. It's just that simple. I don't really care. But bottom line is, $300,000 mortgage. Here's a question. Where are you finding a $300,000 house? That's the question. Now, there are some people who have been saving up money because they can't afford a house and they normally would have bought a house, but they're saving up money until they think interest rates are going to go down. And what's really scary to me is when you talk to these dumb fucking liberal Democrats, all of them are so 100% certain that interest rates are going to go right back down. I'm like, no, they're not. And even if they did go down, the value of the houses is still so ridiculously high that it doesn't even matter if the interest rates go down or up. You still can't afford the actual principal of the home. So the reality is, wherein you could have found a $300,000 house back in 2017 or 2016, and you could have gotten that house somewhere around an interest rate of 4.7, which wouldn't have been so bad. What you're facing now is that same house costing $500,000, and you're looking at a 7% interest rate, even if you have excellent credit. But basically what they're telling you right now is that at the current interest rate, you're looking at a 7.5 on a $500,000 house. That takes your mortgage up to the $3,500, $3,600 range, depending upon how much you put down. It says over 30 years, you'll pay around $36,000 more in total interest expenses than if you'd had a 700 credit score and received a 7% interest rate. This is a great illustration of why your credit score really matters, he says. A half a point doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it goddamn certainly right is. How to improve your credit score. Now, this is something that actually bothers me a lot because there's a lot of people out here who think that these people who call you up, these credit fix bureau, like these people, what they usually do is they try to get you to pay them money and then they themselves get the creditors that you owe to accept minuscule payments, and they try to build your credit score over time. Ultimately, you're going to pay whoever does that their fee. The easiest way, in my opinion, to help fix your credit is to if you can, qualify for a consolidation loan. And if you consolidate everything into a single payment, and that payment doesn't have an extremely high interest rate, which chances are right now it probably does, it helps you to end the threatening phone calls. It helps you to stay out of default. It helps you to stay out of, judgment from the court. But consolidating is extremely helpful, in my opinion. And you can do that yourself. You don't need a credit fix agency to do it, because the thing about it is credit fix agencies, what they try to do is they try to get your credit score to increase by a few points just by changing the amount of time that your credit is assessed. So if the creditors look at your credit within a certain amount of time, they can either raise it or lower it based upon how much of your debt you've paid down. But that doesn't help you in the long term unless you fully pay off those bills. It helps you very, 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 very slowly. These people think that there's an overnight fix. The reality is you're lying to yourself. There's no overnight fix. It took me years. When I graduated from, college? I graduated in 2005. It took me about 7 years to get to an 850. Now, I had built up my credit into the 700s within like maybe 3 or 4 years, but it took me a little while to get up to that 850. But the reality is the only way I did that was by paying off my student loans. And take out car loans, and then I made good payments on the car loans. I did take out home loans, and I made excellent payments on the home loan. I was never late, ever. And that helped considerably to push my credit up. But the bottom line is there's no overnight fix. So if you think there's an overnight fix, you're lying to yourself. It's not going to happen. These people call you every day on the phone. I was at a friend's house, and I heard them talking to one of these people, because you get these spam calls every goddamn day. And I heard them talking to her. I was like, listen, you might as well hang up. There ain't nothing they can do for you. But anyway, it says some people may think that carrying a balance from month to month on your credit card can help raise your credit score, but that's simply not true. In fact, it will cost you more money in interest charges. Instead, try lowering your credit utilization, which represents how much of your available credit you're using at a given time. So basically, the way the banks typically look at it is you should be using like no more than 5% of your credit at any given time. If you're using 10% or more, that is definitely a red flag. 5% is passable. That's not really a big deal. Instead, try lowering your credit utilization rate. It says, say you have 2 credit cards that each have $6,000 limits, your total available credit is $12,000. If you're carrying a balance of $3,600 between the 2 cards, your credit utilization rate is 30%. Financial experts typically recommend aiming to keep your credit utilization below 30%. Now, I just said 5% as the bare minimum you should be at. I think 10% is the maximum, in my opinion. But I think I change their numbers, and I make their numbers more punishing, so that this way it forces me to be more disciplined. So I think you understand what I'm saying. If they say 30, I'm going 10, okay? So I think you understand what I'm saying. Because I use my credit card every single day. Every single time I buy gas, every single time I buy groceries, every single time, whatever I buy, clothing, whatever. It's always being used. And I'm always paying it off. So I have a quick rotation of payoffs. And I never run revolving debt. I don't do it. Let's see. Another method, try to ask your lender to increase your line of credit. If you increase your line of credit, there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually good because it improves your credit utilization, especially if you're disciplined enough to continue using a small amount of your credit just to pay for your daily utilities and groceries and gas and whatnot. The problem, and this has happened to me, the problem is if you don't use that card and you haven't use that card very much, if they cancel that credit line, and let's say that they had given you a $10,000 credit card, and let's say they suddenly take it away, that $10,000 that disappears off your credit utilization is going to hurt your score. So I've had cards before from like Home Depot, like Macy's, and that $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000, when it suddenly just disappears off your credit, that actually hurts your credit. Some people used to think that, they should cut their card up and never use it. That's a bad idea. Some people thought, I'll just take my card and I'll put it in a safe and I'll never use it. That's a bad idea. If you don't use your credit, sooner or later, what the banks are going to do, or what the creditor is going to do, is they're going to cancel that card. If they do that, that actually hurts you because it's taking away from your credit availability.
So I have Apple Card, I've got my travel, Capital One Venture, and this, that, and other. So I make it a point that when I travel, that I use those cards and I use those rewards points. Because when you use those cards, you're building up rewards points as you're making purchases you normally would. And it makes certain that when you want to get an increase in your line of credit, that they see that you're using this card regularly. So, oh, okay, fine, we'll increase your line of credit. For example, if I wanted to increase my line of credit right now on, say, my Apple Card, what I would do is I'd book a vacation, business class, of course. My next vacation is most likely Bali, and I'm going to probably stay there an entire month. So what I would do is I would use my Apple Card, and then I would, after I use that Apple Card, while they see the 5,000 or 6,000, whatever it is I've spent, that's when I would call them and say, hey, I'd like to increase my credit line. And now that they see that you're using so much money, they're like, oh, okay, fine, we'll increase your credit line. But they have to see that you're actually using it. So if you don't use it, you lose it, right? In that vein, credit availability can be kind of like considered a game. But the thing about it is if you learn how to play the game helps you. There's a lot of debt shamers on YouTube. There's a lot of these Dave Ramsey zealots. Now, first of all, Dave Ramsey is fucking rich as fuck. This guy's got a YouTube channel that's making him money. And on top of that, this dude has filed bankruptcy in his past. I've never filed bankruptcy. I've never had to file bankruptcy. But this guy's filed bankruptcy. This guy's got money incoming. He's got a show. And on top of that, the guy's filthy rich. The guy's a multi-millionaire, right? But this guy is cash rich, telling everybody that they don't need credit. But most of these people don't have that kind of money coming in. And they probably never will. So it's kind of disingenuous for somebody like that to literally be telling people you don't need credit when the regular street person understands that they're never going to be able to save up enough money to buy a house in cash. They'll never be able to save up enough money to buy a new car, not a used car. Yeah, you can save up a couple $1,000s. You can buy yourself a piece of shit Honda Accord or a piece of shit Toyota. Now your problem is how much are you going to have to spend to keep that thing running? Because I've seen people in these old-ass 92 Accords and 92 Toyota Camrys. And them pieces of shit barely run. Every single time I see them, they're trying to fix something. Always. So, in my opinion, why the fuck would I save up all this money just to buy a clunker? Like Obama and Biden had that Cash for Clunkers program. I never imagined that you'd literally have people out there shopping for fucking clunkers. I thought the whole point was to take them pieces of shit off the road and replace them with Teslas or something. So anyway, long story short, you're better off getting an inexpensive new car than you are getting a used beater that's fucked up. I'm sorry, at least with the new car, you've got a warranty. And I'm not saying it has to be terribly expensive because you got to understand a lot of these new cars are, below the $20,000 barrier. It's just that you may not like them that much. Like you may not want to drive around in a Nissan Sentra or something like that. But if you are trying to save money and you want to have something reliable, you might as well just get the Nissan Sentra or the, what is it called? The Kicks. They have a car called the Kicks, or you might as well get the Corolla. I mean, I would rather have the safety of the reliability than to be driving around and the fucking car starts falling apart while I'm on the highway. Now, to each his own. You do what you want. I don't really care. My point is, I think it's better to have an inexpensive new car than to buy some piece of shit, old-ass, beater, fucked-up car. That's just how I feel about it. So, anyway, let's keep going. It says, if you're going this route, be careful. Asking for a credit limit increase may cause your lender to request a hard inquiry of your credit. Most likely, they will. A hard inquiry means that they're going to take a very close look at your credit, and it may cost you a couple of points. But if you don't have a perfect 850 credit score, then what do you care? You might as well. But increasing your credit limit and then demonstrating that you have discipline to manage your credit will help you in the long run. So, what is that old saying? You got to spend money to make money? Well, that's just what it is. Sometimes you have to either spend money or sometimes you have to take a small hit on your credit in order to build your credit up more in the future. It is what it is. Ultimately, remembering that raising your credit score is more of a marathon than a sprint, says Rossman. You may not see immediate improvements, but sticking to a consistent strategy, paying your bills on time, and keeping your debt low can help you eventually reach your credit goal. So it says, do you want to be smarter and more successful? Of course I do. All right, so that's the story about your credit score. So as they're saying, as long as you have at least a 760, you're good when it comes to mortgages. And as long as you have between 740 and 750, you're pretty much good on everything else. So here's a little bit of news that you may have missed. It says, this week in credit card news, paying with your palm, hiding credit card debt from your spouse. Amazon will let shoppers pay with their palms at their Whole Foods stores by the end of the year. Amazon One is a biometric technology that lets users enter and pay for items at stores by placing a palm over a scanning device. Shoppers first have to connect their palm to a store credit card. After that, they can pay by simply waving their hand over the kiosk. Amazon One is now in more than 200 Whole Foods locations, and the company said it will be available at all upscale grocers, roughly 500 stores in the coming months. Okay, I think that's the entire story right there. So I thought that was kind of interesting that they're going to make it so that you can pay with your palm. And I've been into these Amazon stores. To tell you the truth, I don't like shopping at Amazon as much as I like shopping at Walmart. Amazon's prices are higher. The only thing that I saw at Amazon that was cheaper than, and I can't even say cheaper than Walmart. The only thing that I saw that was reasonably priced was certain things that Amazon themselves make, like orange juice and milk in some cases. And that's only if you buy their brand, you know? So I've paid with my phone before. You scan your phone coming in, you scan your phone going out, and they somehow have cameras everywhere that track every single thing you pick up, so they know exactly what you walk out of the store with. It says Americans are hiding their credit card debt. 1/3 of Americans with credit card debt say no one else knows how much they owe, according to a new report. And why should anybody know how much you owe? The simple fact is, as they're saying right now, it says the nation's credit card balance hovers around $1 trillion, and interest rates routinely top 20%. Now, I am completely exempt from that. I haven't paid interest on a credit card, and I can't tell you how long, because I run $0 balances on my credit cards. It says 2 in 5 Americans think credit card debt is embarrassing. Well, I think it's embarrassing, but fortunately, I ain't got to worry about that. Okay, according to a NerdWallet report, credit card debt carries a growing stigma. Really? Please tell me you people aren't going to start offing yourselves because you're embarrassed about credit card debt. Please. An earlier NerdWallet survey found that 1/3 of married Americans with card debt haven't told their spouses what they owe. In the new report, 2/5 of respondents says it would be all right to have a credit card a partner doesn't know about. You're cheating on them. That's financial cheating. That's what you're doing. You are infidel. Okay, untaxed kick. Now, see, this is the part that I was going to get to again, because I already made a comment about this. The Biden administration has wanted to fuck over the credit card industry ever since they got into office. As you know, they got blocked on student loans because the presidency does not have the power to cancel student loans. The Congress has the power of the purse. So what they do is, because the executive branch executes the laws made by the Congress, what their job is to enforce the laws made by the Congress. So they're supposed to determine whether or not to enforce collection of the debt. What they've focused on is getting it into the news that they're canceling debt for people who were, quote unquote, defrauded by institutions that the government itself allowed to build themselves up by insuring student loans in the first place. So basically, the government created a problem, people bought into it, and then when they got defrauded, the government said, okay, we'll clear up your debt because, you got defrauded, basically by us. So Anyway, it says the Biden administration and key lawmakers are stepping up their fight against credit card fees that they say are slamming consumers and stifling competition. But their ability to hack away at more than $130 billion in swipe fees and late penalties that banks and card companies charge each year could hinge on something Americans love, and that's rewards programs that subsidize everything from airline travel to groceries. Guess who that is? That's me! The issue is sparking a major lobbying battle in Washington, with Wall Street unleashing a wave of ads across television, radio, and social media networks to convince consumers that the push to curb fees would sharply limit funding for the rewards programs. So basically, the way it works is I pay off my credit card bill every night. The people who don't subsidize the credit card rewards that I get. So, bottom line is, I played the game better than you. So if I play the game better than you, don't I deserve something for that? Well, it happens to be credit card rewards. Now, they're trying to call this an untaxed kickback because, as you know, these fucking Democrats, all they do is tax and spend. So when they run out of money for their welfare state, what they try to do is figure out more ways to steal money from other people who've done it better than they did. I've never filed bankruptcy. I've never run up $32 trillion in debt. You did. So if that's the case, then I'm better trusted with money than you are. But when you're trying to finance a welfare state and you're trying to bribe people into voting for you, everything else goes out the window, right? So it says JP Morgan Chase says there are more credit cards with outstanding balances. They say it's a normal thing. JP Morgan Chase says on Friday reported a double-digit percentage gain in outstanding credit card balances is not a sign of trouble but an indicator of normal trends, returning as the effects of COVID-19 pandemic continue to fade. JP Morgan Chase executives summed up the state of consumer credit quality as normalization, not deterioration, although a mix of factors continue to cloud their economic outlook as part of the bank's stronger than expected second quarter results. The comment reflects that the ability of the bank's customers continue to pay back their debts at expected levels, that credit quality is not getting any worse at the moment. Card outstandings rose 18% as a result of revolved normalization as well as new account growth. So basically what they're saying is people were spending a lot before COVID on their credit card. During COVID, everybody got scared and shit, so they stopped spending. And now we're returning to normal where they are spending. But see, the Biden administration is trying to fuck them up because he was originally trying to figure out a way to get rid of credit card FICO scores. The problem is there's no other way than FICO scores to know at a glance who's creditworthy and who's not. If I walk in with the 850 in your face and say, yeah, guess what? I want this car. Or I want this house. Well, you're going to look at me differently than somebody who walks in with a 630 or a 350. And that's the way it's supposed to be. I worked harder to achieve it. You didn't. You fucked up your credit. God knows how. Because, you know, everybody wants to blame somebody. So oh, yeah, well, I got my credit ruined in divorce court. Well, you shouldn't have married her then. You know, oh, well, I didn't pay my student loans, so my credit went down. Well, you should have paid them student loans or you should have wrapped it up with a condom. Well, you know, I bought this car and I went over on the mileage and I owed them $3,000 in mileage because I tried to get the cheapest lease I could possibly get. And then I ended up going over on the mileage and I didn't pay them back, so they attacked my credit. Yeah, well, guess what? You did that to yourself. That's got nothing to do with me. Do I think the Biden administration is going to be successful fucking up credit cards? Honestly, no, I don't. Because the reality is, just like they got blocked on student loans, there's a very good possibility they're not going to get anywhere with this either. I'm counting on it. The Congress, you got to understand, a lot of these people in Congress, they act and spend just the way I do. A lot of these people in Congress, they like their rewards points, and they're not gonna bow to this bullshit. I hope they don't, but there's so much corruption in this freaking government, you just don't know anymore. You really don't. Where are we? It says buy now, pay later loans boomed during the pandemic by enabling shoppers to stretch their budgets through simple advances repaid in 4 installments with no interest. But buy now, pay later loans recently have moved into far riskier territory. According to New Consumer Reports white paper, about in 1 in 10 buy now, pay later loans now carry an interest rate. Some buy now, pay later loans carry interest rates as high as 36.99. Now, first of all, I thought that anything higher than 30% was a violation of the the Credit Usury Act. But my guess is they get around it by making it not a credit card. They make it a buy now, pay later loan. So they can charge you damn near whatever they want. Once you pass 30%, you're talking about like loan sharking at that point. It says enlarged loans can be extended for up to 60 months with late payment fees of $30, making certain buy now, pay later loans more expensive than credit card financing. Consumer Reports has said Affirm, Klarna, PayPal, and Sezzle, I've never heard of any of this shit except PayPal and Affirm, are among the buy now, pay later lenders that in recent years began offering more loans with higher interest and longer terms. Because these companies' marketing and branding tends to emphasize the simpler pay in 4 model, consumers can be misled. Nah, you weren't misled. You wanted money to buy some bullshit. You took it from wherever you could get it, and now instead of breaking your kneecaps, all they're doing is they're hitting you with bigger bills. The good old-fashioned Guido on the corner would have just broken kneecaps. All right. Bank of America reports profit jump on higher interest rates. Okay, so that's a simple thing. I don't have to read it. It says Bank of America, one of the nation's largest lenders, on Tuesday reported across-the-board strength in its latest quarter with sales and profit that surpassed analysts' expectations, like the 3 megabanks that reported their earnings last week. Okay, yeah, I could skip that. Governor who promised gift cards for donations clears threshold for first Yeah, they bribing everybody. When you're bribing people to vote for you, it's not that hard to get ahead in politics. All right, what's this? Block's suit against Visa and MasterCard may have a bigger target. Block is taking Visa and MasterCard to court, claiming the card networks are using their power to unfairly influence fees, an argument that comes as Congress considers updating rules to encourage more competition in payments market. That's a trap right there. First of all, this government under Jerome Powell set the interest rates higher. By setting the interest rates higher, they've made it more expensive to use your credit card. Your credit card used to be at 3% or less, or 4% or less. Now it's much, much higher. It's twice that. It's like a 6 or 7. In some cases, 28.9. It depends what kind of card you're using. They created the problem. They're acting as if they're the solution, and all they can do at this point is make things worse. And that's what the government does. What did Ronald Reagan say? He said the most terrifying words are, "Hi, I'm the government and I'm here to help." That's what that was a president who said that. If you can't take it from him, who could you take it from? All right, so anyway, subscriptions for MasterCard, and Biden urged to tackle medical debt beyond credit cards. It's sad because in this country, one of the reasons why people divorce, especially later in life, is because of medical debt. I've been reading more and more, and I've even seen this in real life. There's some people who get divorced just because, one of them got cancer, and the medical debt would be passed right on to the next person when the first person dies, the sick person. So they just get divorced, so this way, the debt gets discharged when this person dies off. It's a damn shame. All right, what is this? Carrot Financials raises $70 million in teams with Visa and credit cards for creators. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. Bill, I'll leave a link to this so you can read these stories one by one because I don't need to read all of this stuff. I got through the stuff that I wanted to talk about. But the bottom line is, if you are active in politics locally, you need to call your representative. You need to tell them just say no to Biden and his bull. In fact, this is what I want you to do. I want you to call them up and tell your representative, leave them a message and say, just say no to Biden and his bullshit credit card scheming. That's what the message, like this. When I run for president, I want you to remember I said this. And yeah, they'll bring it up. They'll try to use it against me. And I'll say no, because we don't play with these communists over here. So yeah, just say no to the bullshit credit card scheming. That's what I want you to say. I want you to say it just like that. Leave a message on their answering machine and say, yes, hi, I'd like to speak to my representative. Yeah, just say no to Biden's bullshit credit card scheming. Come on, man. Why can't everybody have an 850 credit score? Come on, man. No, just say no to Biden's bullshit credit card scheming. That's what I want you to do. Leave a message. Talk to your representative. Leave a message. Okay? Because if you don't, you're going to get dragged out. All these people that you see in California right now robbing these Nordstroms and stealing out of these stores and going into these pharmacies and stealing and putting stuff in garbage cans, that's going to happen to you. You don't think it'll happen to you, but believe me, everything that I foresee comes to pass sooner or later. It's going to happen to you. The Biden administration, they're going after your gas stoves. They're going after your gas cars. They're going to eventually come after your water boiler. They're literally coming after. I couldn't believe this myself because, right now in the background, you might be able to hear it, how I love my ceiling fan. These motherfuckers not only said that they coming after your air conditioners if they're not Energy Star compliant, but they also said they coming after your ceiling fans. Don't believe me? So, earlier this summer, the U.S. Department of Energy published a notice of proposed rulemaking regarding energy conservation standards for ceiling fans. If adopted, the new energy efficiency standards would apply to all standard ceiling fans, huger ceiling fans, large diameter ceiling fans, and high-speed belt-driven ceiling fans. So basically, this is what this is. See my ceiling fan up there? Me personally, between that and my washer and dryer, that's one of the best parts about being a homeowner. Like, some people aren't thankful. Like, some people never have time to thank God and say, you know what, thank God I have a ceiling fan. I got a nice house and a ceiling fan. And some people aren't thankful, and they don't thank God for their ceiling fan or their air conditioner or their laundry. I ain't got to go to nobody's fucking laundromat. I got me a ceiling fan, I got a washer, I got a dryer, Samsung appliances, and they still work. Some people had problems with Samsung. I didn't. But I got a ceiling fan. Now, imagine it's hot. We got the hottest July on record, and you don't have a ceiling fan, or you don't have an air conditioner. I got an air conditioner too. Now imagine that you've got some president suffering from dementia who should have been pulled out using the 25th Amendment by now, who's literally trying to come up with ways to take your washing machine, your dryer, your stove, your water boiler, your air conditioner, and your ceiling fan because it doesn't fit within their proposed quote-unquote budget. Just think about that for a second.
To be continued.